Welcome back, everybody. As always, so great to be here with you on this Mindset and Motivation Monday. I find that I draw the inspiration for me to want to share this show with you each week from some of the most interesting places. Sometimes it's my private practice working with clients, sometimes my family, extended family, things that I'm going through personally, friends of mine, whether it was actually on trips that I've just taken. And this one was from an interview where I was listening to Tony Robbins get interviewed. Now, I've actually met Anthony Robbins in person before. I've never done one of his 5-day events, but I pretty much read all of his books. And I do find him to be an inspirational individual. And he's been doing this work for 40 to 50 years. Anybody who's been in a line of work for 40 to 50 years, I have great respect for that. And so I said, okay, let me check out this interview. It was by a different host this time of a different podcast that's pretty popular. And I said, let's check it out. I said, no problem. This is on a flight back from a nice family trip that we took. And I said, great, let's check it out. And right away, it became immediately apparent. I don't know if you've ever seen this in your own life, but right away, it became immediately apparent that the interview was about the host and not the interviewee. Now, the person being interviewed was Anthony Robbins, Tony. The person hosting it was a business-based investor, individual, we'll say, and they had obviously done a very superficial lookup of who Tony Robbins was. They talked about his infomercials. They talked about, the books that he's written. They've talked about products that he's creating, businesses that he's started, but nothing came down to the essence of who he is. So when the host was taking them through a set of questions, you could see that there was a little bit of an agenda. And every time that Tony started to light up and talk about his real passions, which, yes, he's been able to accumulate a lot of wealth in his lifetime, but tries to give it back in certain ways, especially with feeding families, because his background and his story really started with, I think he had 4 different fathers over his childhood. And one day someone came to their door, and it was Thanksgiving Day. They didn't have a lot of food. They didn't have a lot of money. And someone was dropping off a turkey and a Thanksgiving dinner. And the father, one of Tony's stepdads, went to slam the door in the individual's face, saying that we don't need and don't take any charity in this family. The individual put his foot in the door and said, I'm just the messenger. I'm here to make sure that your family has food on this Thanksgiving, and we have more than enough. We'd like to be able to share some with you. And so reluctantly, Tony's father took the food and they had Thanksgiving that day. So when you look at that then shaped, that was a seminal event in Anthony Robbins' life, where he then wanted to feed others as part of his charitable contributions. He went on to start with 2 families one Thanksgiving, and then started a charitable foundation where they now feed at least close to 1 billion people or so per year. And now he's part of a larger conglomerate that are looking to feed 100 billion people worldwide. And every time he talks about that, I've heard him, again, I've met him in person, I've heard him talk about this, he lights up. It's one of the things that he's most passionate about. He's trying to do what he can in his own way to help others. And of course, yes, he's done very well. And that's probably, that's okay. A lot of people will hold that against him. And the host seemed to. You could see that as they were moving through it. It's very strange because everybody that was at the event and everyone and the host themselves, very successful individuals by, most people's standards. But what happened was, as they started to move through the interview, again, it became less about Tony himself and more about, is he doing too much with his life? Is he doing too many different things? And it was fascinating because who is anyone to say? And when the host ultimately came out and just said to him, Tony, you've got books, you've got these different businesses, you're trying to feed 100 billion people. Are you doing too much? It seems like you need to slow down, just take a break and maybe just enjoy life. And Tony, being the great orator that he is, and for the most part, not looking to put anybody else down, although this host was clearly, trying to exert some sort of authority, said to him, no, this is what I love to do. This is what I was put here to do. And I have many different passions, and I have many other great leaders that help me to achieve these things. So it's not me alone. And I thought it was a great answer, because anybody who's really achieved anything really has always had the help of others. They might have had the key idea or the strategy, but it takes a team to make a lot of these things happen. And the host kind of let it go at that. But that is what led me, though, to want to share this with you, that Not everyone's life is meant to look the same. The host of this show had a clear belief of how much work was too much, how many projects were too many projects, and that more than that took away from family time or personal time or spouse time or whatever it might be. But again, everyone's life looks a little bit different. Some people need a good 6 hours to 8 hours a day for themselves and their personal projects or whatever it might be. Some people like to work 50, 60, 80 hours a week. That is because they're so invested and so consumed by their passion, whatever that is. Other people like to travel the world. Some people want to have a big family. They want to have 4, 5, 6 plus kids. Some others want to be influencers, right, on social media. It's like that's what they want to do. So one of the things that I find to be beautiful and amazing about this world is that we are different. We do have uniqueness. But when others try to put us as the same box as them, you need to have this particular education. You need to have this particular certification. You need to lose weight using this diet. You need to follow this specific blueprint. It's like whatever it is, well, is that, not good enough? And, says who? So I've met so many of my colleagues that started out as, call it like amazing acupuncturists, and now they're teaching nutrition. Are they not allowed to teach nutrition? Like, why not? Like, they have brilliant minds. They've studied and read as many books. They should be able to. I know many integrative health practitioners and health coaches that are on the same level, knowledge-wise, with many natural health and certainly medical doctors out there in terms of giving advice. I know a lot of personal trainers that might just have an ACE certification that are as knowledgeable as exercise physiologists. And so it's like, but exercise physiologists could be as knowledgeable or more knowledgeable. So when you're looking at how these people are going into their careers or lives, no problem. Like it's great. It's like, however you want to accumulate that knowledge or be who you are and then share that with others, that's your prerogative, as long as, of course, you're always doing it for the right reasons and not harming any other people. For some people, when they're talking about spending their time doing charitable-based work and spending these types of hours traveling the world or maybe helping impoverished people, that's amazing as well. But that's not everyone's calling. So I meet so many different people in my work and in my practice, and I see people oftentimes frustrated as a sort of stress that other people are mischaracterizing them or judging them because of a particular passion that they have or way that they want to live their life. And so this is, for me, very rewarding that I get to share with others, especially IHPs, the way that no one can replicate your story. People want to and will work with you because of your challenges, your struggles, how they relate to you, the knowledge that you've accumulated, the protocols and the blueprint that you now use that is uniquely you. That's ultimately what I've found life to be about. It is a growth-based journey. And some of those people will be on the journey with you, and some won't understand it. They won't get it. I probably don't understand and don't get a lot of people and how they're looking to live their life, right? So if you're someone that's all in on, you want to take care of your health, you want to take care of your body, you want to improve your overall health span, lifespan, all of those things, you want to try to be of great service to others as much as you can, right? When someone's not living in accord with that, you might say, well, like, that doesn't make sense. It only doesn't make sense because the value system is different, the priorities are different, and the goals are different. So if we have different goals in life, yes, our lives are going to look different. One not necessarily more valuable than another. The person that, like a Tony Robbins, who accumulates wealth and is able to help feed 1 billion people, him not necessarily then putting in 40 hours a week at a food bank is not necessarily as not charitable. He's giving his charity and his service in a different way. He's found a way in his life to be able to become quite wealthy. And now he's using that wealth in a very positive way to affect a lot of people. So what I try to share with individuals is that I don't always know people's background. I don't always know where they're coming from. I try not to judge. I am human. It ultimately sometimes happens. But I also understand that if someone judges a colleague of mine, a teammate of mine, a friend of mine, a family member of myself, then it's like, it's kind of no big deal because they most likely don't know me. They most likely don't know you, right? And at the same time, we don't want one just giant homogenous, everyone's the same. We want to look at life differently. We want to act differently. We want to live life on our own purpose, right? We want to live life on purpose and with purpose. That is ultimately the goal. And so, when someone does misjudge you or mischaracterize you, and it will happen, it's okay. It's just like this host misjudged Tony. He didn't know the man himself. He read all the highlights in some Google Wikipedia-based page or search, but he was trying to measure that individual against what he found to be valuable in his own life, what he believed to be true. And all of this individual's basically holding a mirror up about what they believe to be true in the world came out in that interview. And that's okay, because honestly, interviews like that help you to not necessarily know the person being interviewed better, although it's nice to see how they respond, but you get to know the host. You get to know that person really well because they're showing you who they are. And honestly, that's okay too, right? It's okay to know, oh, I see where this individual stands now. And remember, life is meant to be lived and enjoyed on your terms with the people that you most love living life with. That's truly what I believe. As long as you're not harming others, that you're focused on growth, and that you want to be and live and do as much as you can to fulfill your potential in this world, well, then you should have at it and be unapologetically you. Thanks, everybody. Appreciate you tuning into today's show. As always, if the show is helpful, do feel free to share it with anyone you believe it could serve. Take care. Thanks so much for tuning into today's show. Before you go, don't forget to hit that subscribe button. I want to make sure that you're getting our daily content, not missing out on anything functional medicine, wellness, weight gain, weight loss, anti-aging, living longer, stronger, and all of the most cutting-edge research. And if there's any topics you want to hear, feel free to leave them in the comments below. Take care.